Hello, everyone. It is Monday night, and you know what that means. That means it is time for the Sunday Night League. We are back once more for round 5 of our second season of SNL Endurance, our multi-class system which features 8 Group 1 drivers and 8 Group 3 drivers as well. Of course, it is a 6-round season. This is round 5 of 6, which means mathematically there has to be a championship on the line. Either of our championship leaders theoretically could take home the championship today. It's not guaranteed. It would be very tricky well, at least for one of them, it would be very tricky. For another, it's actually not too unbelievable that they could pull it off. But we will go into championship standings after the grid because first of all, it's dark. This race starting at dawn, so we will be racing into the daylight, and who knows, by the end of the race, maybe it will begin to get dark again. 12 hours of Styria. That is this race. We are at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Of course, Formula One was there yesterday as well. Obviously, they're sort of the lesser important of the two series that were racing there yesterday, between us and them. But we had a rainy start to the race, as you can see by the rain or the water being kicked up behind the drivers here. So first and foremost, we'll go through the grid, but it is important to note that all of our strategy rules about using one of each kind of compound of tire are out the window. It has been declared a wet race, and as such, you just use whatever tires you need to get you to the end. But let's get going with the grid. You'll notice the Lamborghini livery of the Blues Brothers car does not have the number 12 on it. It has the number 3 on it. That is because Kaiser has taken the spot from Ajax for this week and has put it on pole position here at the Red Bull Ring. It is the Swedes' first ever pole position in SNL, if I'm not mistaken. And what a lap to put in there. It was a rainy qualifying that was getting dry towards the end. Some drivers setting their laps on dries. Kaiser put himself on pole position in the number 3 Lamborghini liveried Blues Brothers car. And well done to him for that. It is pole position for him. Second on the grid goes to Tamo, the Nissan livery for Enduro Max. Number 53 goes from second on the grid. Third on the grid is Speckmere, who returns again after Le Mans and has confirmed that he will take this Rebellion seat to the end of the season, in which means that he will, of course, therefore be driving as well in Interlagos next time out in this Rebellion livery. And he is, of course, driving for the Darkest Horses, replacing Lynchimus beginning last time out in Le Mans. Next up is number 84. It's Ragimus Prime. Ragimus in the Audi. Qualified 4th for Stiff Shifters. He'll be looking to see if he can put himself on the podium. An unfortunate disconnect in Le Mans for him. Gasman, number 89. Winner in Le Mans. Can he repeat the feat today? Off the back of a win? Perhaps another win on the way. Will it be victory once again for the Velocity Racing driver? We will have to wait and see. Next up is Edgar, number 77, qualifies 6th. He is the championship leader. He leads by 15 points going into this round. He could win the championship today. He's really not in with a bad shout at that, actually. He leads by 15 points. It's 15 points for a win. We'll go over the championship permutations a bit more in detail soon. But if he wins this race, I believe that guarantees him the championship. If he outscores Gasman by any amount, Gasman is out of the championship contention. And if he outscores Tamo by 5 or if Tamo fails to, we'll go over that later. Next on the grid is Tiny Terror, number 59 in the Isota Frashini livery for Eiffel 65. Coming off the back of his second ever podium in SNL at Le Mans, could he look to repeat the feat in Austria? Much like Gasman will be looking to repeat the win. Rob on drums, last but not least in the Group 1 category for Shell Racing, that Porsche livery, beautiful as always. You will be looking to see what he can do from 8th on the grid. That's your Group 1 grid. There they all are, Kaiser on pole. But we've still got a Group 3 grid to go through. It's Wendigo on pole once again, continues his perfect qualifying record so far this season. Wendigo qualifies on pole. He got second last time out in Le Mans for Shell Racing in that Lamborghini Huracan. He is driving very well. Thought he might have been the favorite for the championship going into this season. He does not lead the championship, however. We will go over the championship standings in a bit. Second on the grid, another one of the favorites, the reigning Group 1 champion, made the jump to Group 3 for this season. Bunnies sits way down in 6th in the championship. I keep saying I'm not going to go over the championship standings yet, and I keep doing it. Bunnies qualifies second, though. One of the drivers qualifying on dries behind Wendigo in second. Third is Climicision, number 23 for Toyota Gazoo, in a Toyota no less. Qualifies in third. Fourth on the grid is Ben. Ben is the reigning Group 3 champion. Ben in his Toyota Supra. He will be going from fourth on the grid, looking to repeat the win from Le Mans. Velocity Racing, a double win in Le Mans. And Ben will be looking to see if he can do it again in Austria. Bondmus, number 32, qualifies 5th on the grid for Stiff Shifters. Right behind Ben. Bondimus yet to win this season. He was the only person to stop Ben from winning in Season 1, as he took victory at Daytona. That was, of course, his first ever SNL win. We'll be waiting to see if he can take another victory this season. Number 57, Aloe, qualifies 6th on the grid. Not quite the qualifying he was looking for, but the GTR is a rapid car, and he will look to move up the order. It was a second podium of the season last time out for him, a second, third place in 3 rounds, actually. Or no, apologies, he got second place in Watkins Glen. So round 4, he was third even in Le Mans, but he was second back in Watkins Glen. Then it is Sutkus. Last but not least, 7th on the grid, Sutkus, number 83. It has been a tricky season so far for the Enduro Max driver, but he will be looking to capitalize on the rainy start to this race. Could it keep raining throughout the race, or will it dry up? You will notice there is, unfortunately, no Pat today. The Eiffel 65 driver, last minute, unable to join us for the race today. We are, of course, sad to see that, but we will have him back for the final round, I would imagine. So, finally, we will go over the championship standings, because I keep trying to do that and then remembering I've said I'm not going to do that yet. But now we are going to do that. It is Edgar who leads the way in Group 1, 15 whopping points ahead of Gasman. If he outscores Gasman today, Gasman's out of championship contention. Gasman sits second in the championship. But Camo is also in championship contention. He is only 19 points off of Edgar. So if Tamo beats him, if Tamo outscores him, that's the word, outscores him by 5 points or more, he is still in the championship fight. However, I suppose theoretically, if he only outscores him by 3, he could still be in championship contention based on countback, presumably. Yeah, of course he could. So if he outscores him by 4 or more points, then Tamo will stay in championship contention. However, that does mean that all Edgar has to do to win the championship today is finish second, provided Gasman is not first. I mean, if he finishes first, he wins the championship. If he finishes second and it is anyone other than Gasman first, Edgar will be champion. If he finishes third, then Tamo or Gasman must win. Gasman, of course, could afford to be second, though. So the only thing Edgar can do to absolutely guarantee himself this win is get first. So, Edgar on 54 points, 39 points for Gasman, 35 for Tamo. Ajax, not here today, but on 34 points, so he will be eliminated from championship contention. Ragemus Prime, technically still in championship contention at the moment. He would need an incredible race with Edgar really not having a good race to remain in championship contention. The first of the drivers no longer in championship contention are Rob on Drums, who sits on 18 points. It's 13 points for Tiny Terror, coming off the back of that third place in Le Mans. 6 points for Speckmere, and 2 points for Lynchimus. So that is your Group 1 standings. Group 3. Excuse me. We do have, of course, a championship fight in Group 3. Climicision, theoretically, simply on the basis that he leads the championship, could win the championship today. However, Climicision would have to win the race, and Wendigo would have to rage quit. Or finish last. No, he would have to rage quit. He would have to rage quit. Because even a disconnection, the disconnection points would keep Wendigo in championship contention. But if Wendigo gets angry at this race and leaves, he will be eliminated from championship contention if Climicision wins. So realistically speaking, championship is not being decided today. But it could be. In Group 3, it could be. There's actually a decent chance it is decided in Group 1 if Edgar has a good race. In Group 3, it's not likely to happen, but it could. 9 points off the back of Wendigo on 35 points is Ben, so that's 45 points for Maruk, or Climicision even. Wendigo on 44 points, 35 for Ben, 30 for Aloe, 24 for Bondimus, and 22 for Bunnies. That's your top 6. Some quite small gaps between all of them. Sutkus in 7th has 13 points. Slenderfella on 12 in 8th. And Pat on 5 in 9th. That is your Group 3 standings. So mathematically, still in the championship is Bunnies, Bondimus, Aloe, Ben, Wendigo, Climicision. However, it will be tricky for drivers such as Bondimus and Bunnies to stay in championship contention following this race. Aloe must avoid being outscored by Climicision to stay in championship contention. Ben must avoid being outscored by 5 or more points to stay in championship contention. Wendigo just has to not rage quit if he wants to stay in contention. Wendigo's looking pretty comfortable here. Climicision, very unlikely to win the championship today. Not impossible. Again, the reason I say it's very difficult is because Wendigo could have an internet failure, but he will be given disconnection points if he has an internet failure. It would have to be an actual rage quit or a disqualification, to be fair, for Wendigo to be eliminated from championship contention. We have team standings, and then we can finally get on with this race that will be incredibly interesting considering we have rain right in front of our eyes. So, in the team's championship, it is Toyota Gazoo Racing that it sits in first on 99 points. That is Edgar and Climicision. Velocity Racing takes a huge jump following their double win onto 74 points in second place, 25 points back from Toyota Gazoo. I am not good enough at math to figure out the championship permutations for that. I think probably, I mean, it's the final round. Technically, I'm sure Toyota Gazoo could wrap up the championship today. I can't tell you how. I'm not that good at math. Velocity Racing does sit in second, though, on 74 points, 25 points back from Toyota Gazoo. Shell Racing, that is Rob on drums and Wendigo, on 62 points, 12 points back from Velocity Racing. Blues Brothers, that's Ajax and Bunnies, or of course, for today, Kaiser and Bunnies on 56 points, that's 6 points back from Shell Racing. Stiff Shifters, that's Ragemus and Bondimus, the two primes. Not number 51, on 51 points, 5 points back even from Blues Brothers. Enduro Max, that's Tamo and Sutkus, on 48 points, that's 3 points back from Stiff Shifters. The Darkest Horses, that would be Lynchmus and Aloe initially, so now Speckmere and Aloe on 38 points, 10 points back from the team ahead, and 30 points for Eiffel 65, that's Tiny Terror and Pat, with of course Slenderfella stepping in for Pat a couple times. On 30 points, that's 8 points back from the Darkest Horses. That is your team's standings. You have been given your drivers and team's standings. There is a very genuine chance that the Group 1 championship is decided today. If Edgar gets second and Gasman does not win, he is the champion. If Edgar wins, he is the champion. And past that, it starts to get a little bit too confusing to be talking about. There you go, that's your standings. We have a race that I have been delaying getting on with for far too long now. Kaiser will lead the way from pole for the first time ever in SNL. It's the Swede, ahead of Tamo and Speckmere. Wendigo from Bunnies and Climicision in Group 3. The lights are on. It's lights out, and we are racing here at the Red Bull Ring, and there's a spin already. It is Ragemus Prime, who is spinning. There's contact with Wendigo, and Climicision is going around now as well, and Bondimus is involved as well, so is Sutkus. It's Ragemus and Climicision, and there is contact, and there will be a red flag called as Bondimus is in the wall, and we see Ben going into the wall as well, and there is indeed a red flag called. Ragemus started on racing mediums instead of intermediates and spun off the line because of this. We will go back and just take a look at how that all unraveled and just give you a sense for how difficult dry tires are to control on a wet track. Ragemus gets away shockingly well, all things considered. There's contact with Rob, which puts him in the right direction for a moment, but there is no grip on these mediums. He goes around and around and around, and were those LMP1s on the wall back there? That's quite cool, actually, that art there. But around and around he goes. Climicision involved as well. You can see the damage on him. Wendigo was briefly into the wall. He's got damage behind Bunnies. Ben spinning around. Bondimus spinning around. And of course we have a red flag called. So that is the race. Well, not that is the first attempt at this race. done. So we will switch over to the full race. Here we are. Rain at the start. Everything after that uncertain because we didn't know what it was going to be in the original race. Kaiser, of course, leads us from pole. I won't take my time with the whole grid, but just as a reminder, Kaiser on pole, Tamo in second, Speckmere third, Ragemus fourth, Gasman fifth, Edgar sixth, Tiny Terror seventh, Rob on drums eighth. That is your Group 1 grid. First in Group 3, Wendigo, then Bunny's second, Climicision third, Ben fourth, Bondimus fifth, Aloe sixth, Sutka seventh. No Pat today. Let's get going with this race. Hopefully no spins off the line this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. The lights are out and we are underway here in Austria once more. It's Kaiser from Tamo, but it's a better start for Tamo than Kaiser, who goes around the outside. Can he make the move on the Swede? He does his best, but Kaiser's going to fight this back. There's nothing he can do. Ragemus on the wet compound tires. Up alongside Tamo now, and we are missing a Group 1. Somebody has gone around. It's Gasman. What has happened to Gasman? Gasman started on the dries. What happened to him? Did he spin off the line? He's on hards. He gets going. Ooh, and that's him into the wall. So on the restart, the same mistake made, a Group 1 starting on dry compound tires. Gasman is going to suffer for this first lap, but no red flag called at this point as only one driver involved in that incident. It's Tamo who leads the way. From Ragemus and Kaiser, the pole sitter drops to third through turn 1. It's Ragemus on the inside. Can he make the move? He does, as Edgar clips Kaiser. Kaiser's around. Kaiser spins. Kaiser is out from pole and down towards 7th place. There's Group 3s, and there's contact with Ben. Ben off the road somehow saves the car, somehow keeps it going, but Climicision jumps ahead of him. It's a beautiful lead for Bunnies. Up in front, he's pulling away just that little bit, not as much as it looked like for a second actually, but Bunnies does lead the way. Climicision from Wendigo now. Wendigo ahead of Ben as well. Ben miraculously saved that car. Wendigo to the inside at turn 6. There's contact. He bumps Climicision to the side, but makes it through the Lamborghini, through on the Supra, and it looked like there was contact between the two Supras as Ben slips through on Climicision now as well. Bondimus around the outside. Kaiser, that is bold, trying to get through the Group 3s. Down the inside, thinks better of it on Wendigo. Does not want to cause some contact. There would be a big penalty if he did that, of course, sideswiping a Group 3. Kaiser through on Wendigo. Kaiser through on his teammate for today. Bunnies and Kaiser in 7th in the Group 1 field. Gasman still struggling his way around as they're side by side into turn 3. Ragemus leads the way from Tamo. Tamo unable to challenge Ragemus at the moment. Ragemus's wets working extremely well for him at the start of this race, but as the track is already drying out, as the rain has already ended, the wets will become increasingly less effective. I wonder just how long these wets will hold up for Ragemus, as behind in the intermediates comes Tamo. Speckmere holding third, but Edgar is trying to put pressure on him. As it stands, the championship would go on to Interlagos in Group 1, I believe. Yes, it would. But not anymore, as Edgar climbs into third ahead of Speckmere, and now Edgar is in championship winning position. Speckmere behind in 4th, under pressure from Rob on drums, Rob on the intermediates. It's intermediates for all of the Group 1s aside from Ragemus and Gasman, although Gasman now on the intermediates has pitted. Ragemus on the wets as we are already nearing dry levels on the racing line. Ragemus runs out wide on those wets, and it's going to be Tamo's opportunity to try and slip past him here. He does indeed. Tamo takes the lead, and that's what he needs to do, back into championship contention as he makes that move. It's Edgar behind in third who will see that, and I don't know if he's got the math all done inside of his head, but he may or may not know that that means suddenly he's not in championship winning position anymore. He does need to make sure he overtakes Ragemus if he wants to win this championship today. Edgar has been rapid throughout the entire season, and he will look very strong going into Interlagos, even if he does not win the championship today. But he can put himself in a very good position to even win it today if he can pull off this move on Ragemus down the inside of turn 7. That's bold. He doesn't make the move just yet. He's going to have to sit on the outside for turn 8. Switch to the inside for turn 9. Can he make the move? Under braking. He's through into 9. He's got Ragemus. There we go. Edgar into second. And as I keep saying, that is a championship winning position for Edgar. He could take it if he can stick here, but I don't think that's going to be enough for Edgar. I think he's going to want first. I think he's going to want to beat Tamo in this race, not just in the championship. And he is going to chase after him in his Toyota liveried Group 1 car. And we can look back from the Nissan liveried car, the Enduro Max car. There's Edgar looming ever closer as the weather is starting to change. It is getting drier and drier. It is Wendigo who leads the way. Ben now slips past Bunnies in the Group 3 category into second place. The Supra powers down the straight at a rate of knots. And Bunnies on his inters. All of the Group 3 drivers are on intermediates. No, that's not true, actually, as it's the two stiff shifters that both went for full wets. Bonimus also on the wets. But as I say, that will be becoming increasingly less effective as we get closer and closer when on the dry line, as Climicision is not there. When on the dry line, we are getting increasingly close to dry tire range. It's sitting just on the edge of that for now, and you would have to be exceptionally cautious. Touching the curbs in these conditions, if you were on dries, would be disastrous. You can watch the wetness gauge on the left-hand side of your screen go up as drivers run over the curbs and AstroTurf. Gazman still sits last, not just in Group 1, but overall. It has been a disastrous start for him. It's a strange one for him as well. He didn't start on dries for the initial race, but he did on the restart. So a bit of a mistake there for Gazman. Perhaps the game not changing his tires as he believed it had. I do not know. But that is an unfortunate fate for Gazman. It's Tamo who is trying to stretch his legs out in front. It was a 23.6 last time out for him, a 23.7 for Edgar. So not much gain for Tamo on the previous lap, but it was faster. He did pull away by about a tenth over Edgar. Speckmere sits behind in third. Rob on drums putting the pressure on him though. The Porsche liveried driver wants this position. Rebellion at threat here. Ooh, as he runs a bit wide, does Speckmere. This could give Rob on drums the opportunity. He puts the hammer down on the throttle. He's coming for him. He's not close enough though. And it's going to be Speckmere staying ahead. Oh, there's contact. There is contact as Speckmere decides to go for the pit entrance. Tamo also into the pits. They are calling it. They want the dries. Is there anybody else who's going to go in? Does Kaiser follow them in? No, he's continued on his way. Speckmere and Tamo are in. Ragemus is going to get off of the wets. Wendigo still on inters. We'll see in a minute if any of them are going to, but where is Bunnies? Bunnies is on the softs. He's the first of the Group 3 drivers to have called it. He's the first of all the drivers to have called it because he's on his outlap, already on the softs. And can he manage these corners? Is this doable? He runs a little bit wide. He's a bit slow out of turn 4, but he's surviving. He hasn't spun just yet. He might too soon at this rate if he keeps going that wide. But he's holding it in the dry line for the most part. There we go. The Blues Brothers driver there is doing his best. Oh, was that Rob on drums off the track? It was. Rob on drums off the track. Edgar manages turn 4. Rob on drums with Tiny Terror hunting him down. Oh, just late on the brakes, and Rob on drums way out in the gravel. Tiny Terror will take the position, as will Kaiser. Rob will be ruining that mistake, but he is going to have to see what he can do now to recover. Will he think it's time for the dries, or will that encourage him to stay on the inters for longer, thinking that it is too wet? Tamo on the mediums. What can Tamo do now? We'll have to wait and see when Edgar pits. He doesn't pit this lap. That's very interesting. Edgar says time to go for another lap. The two Italian brands here fought for the podium in Le Mans, although it was Ajax in the Lamborghini on that occasion. Now it's Kaiser driving it this time. Both of these two drivers decided it's still time to stay on the intermediates. Tiny Terror trying to cool the tires down. Rob on drums also stays out on his intermediates. Tamo on the mediums will be very intrigued to see that, thinking, okay, I was the first one to pull the trigger, put on the mediums, and yet none of the drivers in front of me have reacted to that. They all think it's time to continue on the inters, and that's a very interesting strategy from them. Specknier behind on the on the softs even. Specknier going to do his best here on his outlap. Braidmus on hards, so we've got mediums, softs, and hards on group 1s. Gasman has now taken back 8th overall. He is ahead of all of the Group 3s at least, but he's still on intermediates, so it'll be interesting to see when he pulls the trigger and pits. Aloe is the only driver still on intermediates in Group 1, or in Group 3 even. Bunnies has a net lead in Group 3. Is Aloe going to go in this time? He does indeed, so Aloe will pit onto the dries. Bunnies on softs will have the lead once Aloe is in, which he is now, so Bunnies will usurp the lead of Group 3. It's mediums for Wendigo behind. Mediums for Ben and Clemicision and Sutkus, and Bonimus is on softs, but he's also in the gravel, so that is not what he was hoping for. As he continues on his way, that is not what he will have been hoping for. There we go, the top 4 in Group 1, all in off of their intermediate tires. Where is Tamo? This is the man to watch. We go inside of his car, inside of Tamo. Through turn 9, through turn 10 now. He's navigating these corners carefully. He cannot afford to use too much curb. Those mediums will scream, and they will cry, and they will die if he uses it too much. The cars are crawling out of the pits. The AI really struggling to get the cars around the corner, but Tamo, with caution, makes his way to the dry line. Tamo's got, or Edgar even does that. Tamo's got more acceleration. He's got more speed down this straight up into turn 3, but it's Edgar who jumps Tamo with his pit strategy. Can Tamo look for a move now? The Nissan driver next to his Lithuanian friend, they both lap Aloe. They have to use the wet line a little bit to get around the Group 3s. That's the really tricky part about a drying track in multi-class racing. If you want to overtake the class below you, you have to use the wet line. They aren't about to move out of the way for you. That's not their job. Oh, as Edgar gets past Sutkus, I don't think there was contact there, but it was certainly very, very close. Tamo awkwardly wide there, trying to navigate his teammate now, trying to catch up to Edgar. He set the fastest lap of the race last lap. It won't be the fastest lap of the race this lap. Edgar continues on his way, and he's built up a gap as Tamo struggled to get past his own Enduro Max teammate. There we go. Continues on his way. Specknier in third on the softs. This is going very nicely for him. Tiny Terror right behind him. Kaiser not far behind either. And it's an unlikely trio battling it out for third. Specknier, who wasn't racing in SNL anymore only a couple weeks ago. Tiny Terror, long-term member, only got his second ever SNL podium last time out, as he's now fighting for another one, and he's gonna power past Specknier on acceleration. Tiny Terror in the Isota Frascini livery gets past the Rebellion. There we go, up into turn 3. Oh, he runs a little bit wide, though, and that's going to be tricky to get away from. Speckmeier's going to have to use the wet line to try and get past him. He is unable to do so, and Kaiser behind them. Of course, another unlikely aspect in this trio, Tiny Terror fighting for a podium, despite only having just gotten his second ever in SNL. His first one came years ago, back when we raced on Gran Turismo Sport. Season 4 of Formula X at Monza was the last time he pulled that off, but last time out in Le Mans he got it. Now it's Speckmeier behind him. Speckmeier has won races in SNL, both in Formula X and in GTE. Speckmeier wasn't even in racing in SNL anymore. Just a couple weeks ago, Kaiser has had an immense upturn in form in his past few races in SNL. Got his first ever pole position today. He's dropped back to 5th only on lap 9 even, but he still runs nicely and for some reason has his windshield wipers still going, which I think he'll find he's the only driver with his windshield wipers going. Don't know why he's got those going. It hasn't been raining for a little while now. We are fully in the daylight now as well. So everything, sunshine and flowers. I don't know. It's very pleasant out. It's a nice morning for these drivers to be ripping around this circuit during. So Bunnies leads the way. He's low on fuel though. He will be pitting in the next couple laps. Wendigo has nearly 75% fuel remaining, so I imagine Bunnies did not refuel during his pit stop onto the dries. Wendigo most likely did. I don't know why the camera did that, but he most likely did, as did just about everybody else. So it must be said, either one of two things has happened here. Either Bunnies has pulled an absolute strategic masterclass that none of the rest of the Group 3 field has sorted out, or he's really messed this up. As he messes up turn 1 quite badly. Frankly, I'm a bit surprised he managed to avoid spinning there. So good job to the Canadian there for avoiding spinning in that Hello Kitty livery as he went over the wet stuff. Edgar leads with an increasingly comfortable lead over Tamo. It was a 1:23.039 last time out for Tamo, a 1:21.9. Over a second ahead was, or a second faster was Edgar over Tamo last time out. Tiny Terror a 24.8, so definitely not closing in on the group ahead. Tamo 1.8 seconds faster than him last time out. It seems like Tiny Terror's battle today is for third. Could he really make it 2 podiums in a row? I asked if Gasman could make it 2 wins in a row. No offense to the guy. Doesn't look like it's happening. There is a yellow flag. What has happened up ahead? Who are the drivers in that area of track? Ben and Bondimus. Did one of them spin? Sutkus spun. That is unfortunate. Why did I say Ben and Bondimus? It was Sutkus and Bondimus the entire time, not Ben. But Sutkus unfortunately spun out of turn 1, picks up a whopping load of damage. Bondimus behind, on the softs. But Gasman sits last in class, so unlikely to make it a second win in a row. But then again, Tiny Terror might just be able to make it a second podium in a row. He's got Wendigo ahead of him. He manages it nicely, even if it does mean going onto the wet line. There we go, a 21.9. There we go. That is much, much faster than last time out for Tiny Terror. Tamo, a 22.9 last time out. So Tiny Terror claws in a second of the gap that Tamo had to him. It's a large gap. It's going to take a lot of clawing into that gap for Tiny Terror to catch up and take second. But who knows, he may have the pace to do it even. The Isotta Fraschini driver, on quite a run of form, of course will not be able to race in Interlagos. This is his last round of the season for Tiny Terror. Slenderfella will be stepping in next time out in Interlagos in that Isotta Fraschini livery. It'll be good to see the number 21 on the side of that car. And then Slenderfella will be entered into this championship twice. That's going to be interesting. Is it for the same team? It is. It's going to be for the same team both times, at least. Oh, as Tiny Terror runs wide. Because, of course... Oh, and that's going to give Kaiser the position. Kaiser, the Swede, up into podium position. The windshield wipers are working. They are working, and they are bringing him up high. Oh, dear, that was quite a slide from Kaiser, who saves it nicely. And the dry line now on this circuit is entirely dry. It's fastest lap of the race for Kaiser, a 21.2. And these boys are pulling in the drivers ahead. It was a 21.4 for Edgar. It was a 21.5 for Tamo. It was a 21.2 for Kaiser, who is pulling in, reeling in the drivers ahead, and that is something I love to see in SNL, is the midfield. And I mean, I know it's 8 drivers. They are in third. Oh, Kaiser's wide! Kaiser, no! What has happened to Kaiser? Tiny Terror is going to take advantage of this. We'll go on board with Tiny Terror. Kaiser up into turn 3, brakes later than Tiny Terror, and just too late, and those softs absolutely give up on you once you're out into the wet stuff. He gets back on track, back onto the dry line surprisingly easily, but he does drop 2 positions, and the windshield wipers not doing their job for him anymore. I'd like to attribute his success in this race to the fact that he's using his windshield wipers too. He's clearly figured out something we haven't. Tiny Terror out of Speckmere, and now Kaiser. I genuinely find this trio to be such an amusing trio, and it's awesome getting to see them race. It's just, I can't actually picture a battle between Speckmere and Tiny Terror, or Speckmere and Kaiser. I can't call any to mind between Tiny Terror and Kaiser, but I can imagine them battling. But for third, I mean, 2 of these drivers before last week hadn't had a podium either ever or since the GT Sport days of SNL. And there's something so brilliant about seeing the way these drivers have brought themselves up to the front of the grid. We've seen many stories like that before, of drivers who were at the back of the grid for some time and have found themselves at the front of the grid. Tiny Terror seems to be the most recent example, although Kaiser having a wonderful round, Speckmere nearly going around, but Kaiser having a wonderful past few rounds in SNL. He had a great end to the FX season, and now in this endurance season doing quite well as we see movement behind between Rob on drums and Gasman. What can we see here? Rob on drums. An example of somebody else who has also slowly brought himself up to the front of the grid. Oh, Gasman's braking on the wet stuff! Gasman's gone into the wall! So Gasman, no offense, but rather unwisely decides to try and overtake well to the inside of Rob on drums. Gets way on the wet stuff, and the brakes are effectively non-existent. A disaster for the Scotsman. Coming off the back of a win, this is not what you want. You want to build momentum off of a win. There's a lot of drivers here who really work off of momentum, I think. And this is not momentum. This is quite the opposite. This is up and down for Gasman. The Scotsman not getting the results he wanted today. Rob on drums, however, will be pleased to have his 7th place secure for that little bit longer. Ragemus in 6th, Speckmere in 5th. Kaiser and Speckmere have actually dropped the ways off of Tiny Terror, who's really putting the hammer down now. A 21.7 last time out compared to a 23.8 for Kaiser and a 24.3 for Speckmere. These two are fighting it out, but Tiny Terror just pulling away from them. I also love these 3 liveries together. Isotta Frascini, Lamborghini, and Rebellion. I know Rebellion has won in World Endurance Championship. I know they actually did do decently towards the end of the LMP1's era. But at the same time, I always just felt like Rebellion was like... Oh no, Kaiser's off! Oh, he was just off camera as well, I couldn't even tell. Oh, he runs wide onto the wet stuff. It's what we saw Speckmere do just a lap ago. Or was it Kaiser who did it a lap ago? I don't know, there's a lot of people running wide and onto the wet stuff. Oh, careful with that rejoin! As Aloe just about navigates that nicely, and guys are back through already, using the speed of that Group 1. Just flick himself back ahead of Aloe immediately after that mistake. Gasman in the pits. In the Group 3 category, it's Wendigo leading the way from Ben, Clinicision behind, and Bunny's in 4th. Bunny's, of course, has pitted more recently than any of the others. As I said earlier, either a strategic masterclass or a strategic disaster class for Bunnies. We won't really know until the end of the race, I suspect, though. Sutkus behind in 5th in class, Bondimus in 6th, going a little bit slowly there, it looks like. So I wonder if he's coming off the back of a spin there. Or maybe, no, it's not an outlap, so I do think he probably spun out of turn 1. And Aloe taking advantage of that, getting the position in the number 57 Nissan for the Darkest Forces. Things starting to spread out a little bit more now. Edgar is in championship winning position. Tamo, let's see how far. How far back is Tamo? About 9 seconds back is Tamo. 9.5 seconds is the gap from Edgar to Tamo. Edgar can even afford to lose the lead. I mean, he certainly won't want to. If you can win, you win, even if second gives you the championship. But Edgar, he sits in a very comfortable position here. The Toyota Gazoo driver, 23.5 minutes into what could turn out to be a championship-winning race for him. Nothing decided yet. We're not even halfway through this race. Everything, and I mean everything, could change. Theoretically, this isn't gonna— oh, Bondimus! Wow. That was a bit impressive. Let's go on board and watch this. Mostly, I'm impressed by the fact that he failed to get damage there. I think he clipped the wall just a little bit, but I'm honestly not even confident about that because he didn't get damage. Frankly, I'm impressed by what Bondimus has just done. I also know I was in the middle of saying something, and I now forget what I was going to say, and the worst part is I saw Bondimus spin and thought, I'm going to forget what I'm saying. Then I forgot what I was saying. Edgar into the pits. Tamo through the final corner will usurp the lead for the time being. Then it's Specmere, Rob on drums, Heiser, and Ragemus Prime also into the pits, almost an entire lap down on Edgar. No, he is— well, while they're both in the pits, he is an entire lap down, but he will be exiting the pits much sooner than Edgar. Somebody else was into the pits as well. It's Tiny Terror, who heads his way into the pits in that Isota Frashini livery. Such a shame they didn't even complete a full season of World Endurance Championship. Rumor has it they'll be in the Asian Le Mans series soon, though. And I would love to see that. Gasman behind Bunnies. Two of the admins of this league. Gasman manages to get by Bunnies cleanly. That would be a bit of a disastrous admin team battle if there had been contact there. But both of them survive it nicely. Wendigo will be into the pits now. There's no way he can keep going. He's very, very cautious on the throttle. It's still very, very wet on pit entry. But the Lithuanian manages nicely and is into the pits. A very, very smart driver he is. Ben's turn. He's definitely going to be in the pits as well. He runs a bit wide. Probably could have done with following the white lines a bit better there. But also quite cautious and manages to survive the pit entrance. Clinicision's turn. Can he do the same? This is my favorite little treacherous game to watch. He survives. Well done to Clinicision. Bunnies will not be pitting this lap, I would imagine. I'd be a little bit shocked if he does. Everybody else is on mediums. Bunnies is on softs. I do find that interesting. I don't know if these guys are going to go put on socks, but that is an interesting little bit. So Bunnies does indeed continue on his way. Edgar will lap him now. So Bunnies, might take the lead. Wendigo, crawling out of the pit exit, will be looking for Bunnies. Where is Bunnies? There he is. And the Hello Kitty car drives right past the Shell Lamborghini, who simply cannot keep up in the wet stuff on the pit exit. So Bunnies, for now, leads the way, but it must be said, Wendigo closer than the last time they were on the same amount of pit stops. I think Wendigo certainly going faster than Bunnies thus far in the race, although they have similar best lap times. 32.9 was Bunny's fastest lap. Wendigo's fastest was a 32.6. Sutkus behind, ahead of Ben. And Lowy a little bit behind Clinicision. And Bondimus. A little bit of a lonely race going on for Bondimus, it has to be said. But props to him for continuing on. The Stiff Shifters driver not having an easy time. There are 2 incidents down here, one of which is Gasman, the other of which is Ragemus. So Ragemus goes wide. That's not actually who it was. It's somebody else. We'll watch Gasman. Oh. I've done that before. Not a good feeling. Really not a good feeling. It was Speckmere. That's the other spinner. We'll watch him back in a moment. We've seen Max Verstappen do that, for what it's worth. And I mean, I know he's a bit of a controversial figure. Some people love him, some people hate him, but you got to admit, Max Verstappen's an exceptional driver either way. The Speckmere pins it into the pits as well. That is what we were trying to see. There goes Gasman. Oh, Speckmere will have had a perfect view of that. That's brutal. Camo continues on his way. Speckmere into the pits. Hopefully that damage will fix itself while he's in the pits. Edgar continues on his way. Gasman has gotten going with actually minor damage, all things considered. Kaiser's... Oh, what happened to Kaiser? Where did Kaiser get damage? Oh. Spun out of turn 3. So we had a lot of incidents going on at the same time, it seems like. So, whatever you may think about, oh, this track is drying up, this race is getting boring. No, it's not. It's still very, very tricky out here, and these drivers are still making mistakes. Oh, as Rob just scythes through on the inside of Clinicision there. Ooh, Tiny Terror. Just about makes it around, or even does make it around, Sutkus and Ben. Oh, Sutkus. That didn't look good. Oh my goodness, he caught us. Sutkus caught that. I can't believe Sutkus caught that. I thought he was around for sure. Well done, Sutkus. What a save. Tamo into the pits now. Edgar will be eagerly trying to catch up, see if he can retain that lead. Or regain, I suppose I should say. Look at the gap. Tamo's all the way in the pits. Edgar will be close to him when Tamo comes out. Whether that is ahead or behind, I do not know, but I don't think it'll be an immense gap. Tiny Terror going through turn 4 now. Edgar through turn 9. Somebody spun again. Who spun? Who is it? Oh, it's Ragemus. What happened to Ragemus? Wide through turn 10. Hits the barriers. Just rolls back across the track. Does a quick flip spin. Hits the barriers in doing so. On the wet stuff. Please don't spin again. He does not spin again. There we go. So Tamo still refueling. Meanwhile, Edgar takes the lead of this race. Tamo coming out of the pits now. You can see a Lowy ahead. He's going to crawl up this... This is actually a bit painful to watch at this speed. I know it's the AI. I know it's not Tamo choosing to go that slowly. But that was a little bit of a difficult watch. It's really slow as they're coming out of the pits. And he makes it past a couple of Group 3 those, and Bondimus is going to have an opportunity to overtake Aloe into Turn 3. He makes use of it. Bondimus up into 6th in class. So Bunny sits in 2nd. He's dropped quite far back from Wendigo, so I do wonder... Last lap was a 141.6. I do wonder if Bunnies may have spun on that lap then. Wendigo has a comfortable lead. I was talking about the gaps in Group 3. Look at Wendigo's gap to Bunnies is not immense, but to Ben. Ben exits Turn 3 now. Wendigo's through Turn 5, coming into Turn 6. So the gaps are beginning to expand. There's no denying that. Aloe and Bondimus are close together, though, I will say. A lap down is Ragemus, but he is right on the back of Edgar. Camo, I think just accidentally bumping his teammate there. Tiny Terror sits in a nice 3rd now. Rob on drums a little ways behind. Kaiser getting past his teammate for today, Bunnies. Round the outside, that is Bold at Turn 8. Speckmere behind now. Ragemus and Gasman quite close together as well. So we've got battles for last and second last in both categories. Aloe on the back of Bondimus. Bondimus doing his best to pull away, but Aloe not allowing him to get too far ahead. Mediums seem to be working well for Bondimus. Aloe's softs will come into their own any time now, though, as Tiny Terror runs way out wide there in the background. Gasman and Ragemus will do battle now. The two that spun on the wrong sets of tires at the beginning of our 2 attempts to start this race, the first of which was when Ragemus started on dries instead of wet, spun it around, and collected enough drivers that there was indeed a red flag. And meanwhile, Gasman, in our second restart, didn't collect anyone with his spin, but did do something extremely similar to the spin that Ragemus had. So these two, a fitting two to do battle. So I've talked about the Group 1 championship a fair bit here. Edgar, as it stands, in a good position to take the championship win, as Ragemus is trying to unlap himself here. We'll hope that this stays clean. No Ocon Verstappen type moments, please. And it does indeed stay clean. Rob on drums, into the pits. Down the inside of a Group 3, it's Climicision being lapped by his teammate, and now by Ragemus as well. Gasman will be next up for that. Around the outside of Turn 8. Nope, switches to the inside. Gasman just trying to make it clean. Does indeed get through. We are over halfway into this race now. Gasman managing the last couple of corners nicely. Of course, it's Rob on drums in the pits up there. Will Ragemus go ahead of him? Are these two a lap down on Rob? No, they're not. Okay. So Rob exiting the pits now. The AI getting faster and faster out of there. But Ragemus will have the straight line speed down towards turns 2 and 3. The quote-unquote turn 2 here. And now turn 3. There are 7 real corners on this track. Not 10. Ragemus goes wide at one of those 7. So does Rob on drums. Gasman behind is going to try and take advantage of this on the inside of Ragemus, but Ragemus gets his foot down just about fast enough to hold on to this position for now. It'll have to be under braking if Gasman wants to take this. The Scotsman thinks better of it in the end, and in that Acura livery, sits behind a little bit longer. Ooh, Ragemus wide. Is this an opportunity for Gasman on the inside of turn 6? No, that's turn 7, apologies. Turn 8 now. Yeah, there's only 7 real corners on this track. There's turns 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10 are the only real... Whoa! I think Gasman has disconnected. That was interesting. There, yeah, he disconnected. That was so off-putting, though. He just flew through that corner. I was looking at Ragemus, and he just whoosh past him. Yeah, no brakes. Doesn't actually turn, but his steering input and everything just goes non-existent. But for some reason, the car turns anyways. And he finds himself in the wall, and that is Gasman out of this race with a disconnect. So he will get a couple points from that. But what that means, that does actually have championship effects. That means that Edgar, as long as he finishes in the top 2 in this race, is a guaranteed champion, because Gasman cannot beat him in this race now. Therefore, Edgar, winning or getting second, wins him the championship, because second place, even if it's Tamo ahead, Tamo would only outscore him by 3 points in that case. That would put him 16 points back with 1 round left, with 15 points as your maximum amount of points in a race. Edgar just has to finish top 2 now. Tiny Terror is Tamo's best bet of winning this championship. And I suspect Tiny Terror will be quite happy with third, although I'm sure he'd take a higher position if he could get it. But, well, I suppose Edgar's internet might be the best bet for Tamo, but Edgar looks comfortable. He looks on to win this race, so to be fair, it seems unlikely that he was going to need to finish second anyways. Gasman was down in 8th, fighting Ragemus for 7th. Edgar was leading by over a lap over him. It was looking good for Edgar already, but that does just confirm that Edgar, a top 2 finish, and he is champion. For the first time in SNL. That would be really quite something. To be fair, we've only actually really seen him a couple of times previously in SNL. We saw him do the final 2 rounds of the GTE season, once in a McLaren, once in a Mercedes. This is, to be fair, all assuming there are no penalties coming, but I don't think I've seen anything that could constitute a penalty for Edgar or Tamo. I haven't seen much that could constitute as a penalty for any of the Group 1s. Although, of course, the red flag incident is always investigated. So Ragemus will be under investigation, as well as anybody else involved in that incident. We do have a couple drivers pretty close together, although he's not too far off the back of this duo. And of course, this duo will do battle now. Bondimus behind Sutkus. We'll go inside Bondimus's car. We're almost 38 minutes into this race. Just over 20 minutes remaining in this race. We're getting a sense for how this is all shaping out. Of course, Climicision, the other driver who mathematically has a chance to win the championship today, given he sits behind both Ben and Wendigo, he's not going to win the championship today, it seems like. It seems as if Wendigo is actually going to put himself in the lead of the championship going into the final round, as Tiny Terror slips by Climicision there. Back into the car of Bondimus. Through turn 6. Is there an opportunity here on Sutkus? Nothing yet. Through turn 7, he's not going to bother taking a look there. That would be a sketchy place to look, to say the least, especially from that far back. Through the flat-out, basically non-existent 8. They really could just make this a 7-corner circuit, but they wanted to be special and said 10. Still probably the least corners on the F1 calendar and on our calendar. Imagine going from Austria to the Nordschleife. Just go from, like, 7 real corners to over 100 or something. I don't know exactly how many there are on the Nordschleife. I could probably count it in my head. I'd really rather not right now. That would take me a little bit of time. Rob on drums gets through on the 2 Group 3s pretty easily there, thankfully. Nothing too extreme going on there. And Edgar looking to lap Rob on drums. Rob on drums, where does he sit in the race? He sits 6th in the race. So if Edgar can successfully navigate these Group 3s, and then perhaps navigate Rob on drums as well, then Edgar will have lapped everyone except the top 5 in this race. Speckmeier's got an immense gap to Rob on drums, so I think Speckmeier's safe for quite a while here. But Speckmeier, Kaiser, and Tiny Terror are both... Oh, Kaiser, no! The Swede spins it around in the pit entrance, or gets in front of the pit entrance. Or, not entrance, exit. That is the exit. Don't try to use that as an entrance. Bad idea. Kaiser spins it around. He's behind Speckmeier now, but still with an immense gap to Rob on drums. Looking quite comfortable in this race for 5th as it stands. Does the Swede, although some more mistakes, and that could change. Ragemus sweeps past Sutkus there in 7th in class. Wendigo behind on track, or position-wise. Wendigo is a couple of laps down on Ragemus, which is a good thing, because they are in different categories, they're in different classes. Ben in 2nd begins his 26th lap of this race. One decision behind. Crosses the line now as well. Bunnies a little ways back. I think we'll see these 3 drivers pitting relatively soon, although I think Ben could maybe go a lap further than Wendigo at this point. Bunnies, though, is going a bit longer than them for the rest of this stint at 32.4, his new fastest lap of the race, or personal fastest lap. That's about 4/10 slower than the lap Plimicision set last time out. But it is faster than what Ben set last time out. It is noticeably slower than what Wendigo set. Wendigo a 31.2, Plimicision a 32.0, Bunnies a 32.4. They are not gaining on Wendigo. Quite the opposite, in fact. Sutkus only a couple laps ago sets his personal best, a 32.1. Bondimus directly behind, runs a little bit wide, getting a little bit too close, flying too close to the sun, as they say. 33.1 last time out for him, and a 32.4 for Aloe last time out. 32.4, that rings a bell. Yes, it does indeed. So that's Edgar lapping Bunnies, and you can see Rob on drums behind, which means Rob on drums is a lap down. Kaiser into the pits. Kaiser may drop a lap down for a bit after this as well, although Edgar won't be going too much longer before his own pit stop. Continues on for this lap. Ammo behind. And it's Tiny Terror. Speckmeier. Kaiser refueling, his windshield wipers still going. Ragemus overtakes him now even. So, the top 4 remain unlapped. It's Edgar, Tamo, Tiny Terror, and Speckmeier still on the lead lap. Tiny Terror will be into the pits shortly though. He's got quite a gap to Speckmeier now though. Tiny Terror has been running an excellent race today. Takes it very cautiously into the pits. It's not too wet in there anymore though. I think he could start taking it with a bit more aggression than that. But still, Tiny Terror, cautious nonetheless. Wendigo into the pits. Will Ben follow him in? On the hards, I'm not sure if Ben has the fuel for another lap. Ben seems to love the hards. He just uses them so much. I don't fully understand it as he runs wide at turn 9. Almost at turn 10 as well, just about keeps himself on the curbs though. But Ben really loves the hards. I don't really get it, but he's good on them. So you know what? Props to him. He makes them work quite well. And I will say, despite his championship in endurance in the Group 3 category last season, despite that, I do actually think that Ben is especially fast in the Formula X cars. And I think Formula X, we've seen him win a number of times there now. Ben's really coming into his own in SNL, I would say, and I think that in Formula X, where you have to use so many hard tires by the end of the season, Ben is doing it pretty nicely. He's having a good time here. Whoa, bit of a slide. Kaiser behind Ragemus as it stands, but Ragemus is about to pit. He doesn't. He's made a big mistake. Although we have seen people miss their pit stops this season. The man behind him right there, Tamo, did that himself in Alsace. There we go. Into the pits goes Ragemus. Same with Edgar. Tamo as well. Oh, Tamo as well. Tamo's got 19% left on his fuel. Edgar's only got 1%. I don't know what the gap there is like. But this could be really interesting. Where's Tamo? Now he's into the pits. Edgar reaches 19% before Tamo has even changed the tires, so Edgar will come out of the pits ahead of Tamo. But by how much? Edgar goes to 100%. Tamo goes to 83%. Tamo is going bold here. Tamo is going to try and beat Edgar in this race, and the strategy has just ripped him up way closer to Edgar. This could be big. Speckmir in the pits. Tiny Terror. Not in the pits. He's got lots of fuel on board. I think Tiny Terror is ready to go to the end on this fuel. Rob on drums will need to pit. Rob's only got 25% left of fuel. And if we assume Tamo's got it spot on, having fueled up to about 83%, then 25 is not enough. We'll see what does Speckmir do. Is Speckmir going to do something similar? Also around 80%. 88%. So yes, I do think that Tamo, maybe he underfueled a little bit, but Tamo has put himself in a very good position. I think that's about the fuel he needed to go to the end. And Edgar, suddenly, his victory doesn't look quite as assured. Less than 13 minutes remaining in this race. Edgar looks to be about 12 minutes and a few seconds away from his first ever SNL championship. The number 77 has has done well in SNL since arriving. There's Tamo though. Tamo purple in Sector 1. Tamo's gonna hunt him down, isn't he? I can't wait to see how this unravels in the last 10 plus minutes. Tiny Terror looks safe for third. He may not feel it, because he doesn't know how much fuel Rob has, but Rob will have to pit. Tiny Terror is probably safer than he feels at the moment. But Rob on drums, with a better exit out of turn 1, might have an opportunity here to take third away from Tiny Terror for the time being. The Isotta Fascini driver brakes far later than the Porsche, just barely makes turn 3, but that's going to allow for a better exit for Rob than for Tiny Terror. as Bunnies is going to be an obstacle for both of these drivers. Rob on drums right behind Tiny Terror. Ooh, goes to the inside. Ooh, a little bit of contact there, but nothing major. Both drivers make it out of that all right. Tiny Terror goes to the inside of turn 6 on Bunnies. Bunnies has to be hesitant on turn in there. Rob, unable to follow him through, goes to the inside through turn 7, though. Excuse me, and Rob on drums will lose a tiny bit of time from that. A Tiny Terror bit of time from that. But not much. Kaiser behind Speckmere. It's not a huge gap between them. Kaiser will be able to see Speckmere up in the distance, and it's getting a little bit dark over this circuit. I wonder if there is rain in the area. Could it be that there's going to be rain at the end of this race? Because as the clouds loom over, it certainly looks like it could rain. And as a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet that there is indeed rain on the radar at this stage in the race. With about 10 minutes to go, I think there's some rain appearing on the edge of the radar, and I think these drivers will be watching it very, very closely indeed, because this could throw an absolute spanner in the works of all of these drivers' races. Edgar leads the way, less than 10 minutes away from a championship if he can just hold it all together from here. He'd need to lose out to Tiny Terror at least for that to happen. I mean, Tamo as well, obviously, but Tamo and Tiny Terror at least. Edgar exits turn 4 on lap 36. Tiny Terror enters turn 9 on lap 35. There is a large gap between the two of them. Rob on drums. I thought he was going into the pits. He's not yet, though. I think this will be his final lap before a pit stop, but he is starting now. Speckmere still on his way in 5th, Kaiser in 6th, the windshield wipers still going. Could those become useful again in the closing couple of laps? Apologies if my water bottle was a bit louder there than I had intended. Ragemus, though, 7th place at the moment. Last but not least, as it stands, Gasman, a disconnect at this very corner. And this is some hectic Group 3 traffic for them to navigate. Tamo and Ragemus do slip right through, though. And I think Ragemus will be regretful that his race has not gone the way he was hoping. But I do think he will be enjoying the fact that he's able to stick with Tamo all right. Tamo, who sits 2nd place in this race. Past 2 laps for Tamo, a 22.3 and a 20.3. There's a 21.6 and a 20.8. So lost 0.5 of a second, gained about 7. So across the last 2 laps, Edgar pulled away by 0.2 over Tamo. Tiny Terror gets past Ben. In round 1, Tiny Terror whacked into the back of Ben at a hairpin, sent both of them off, took a whopping penalty for it. Thankfully, no such thing happening now. Speckmere in 4th, Kaiser in 5th. There we go, that's Rob into the pits. Kaiser and Speckmere jump up a position from that. Will Ragemus be able to jump up a position from that? It's looking now like it could rain. It is really dark. I do think that there is rain in the air, but I also think that it is on the edge of the radar, threatening the track. But I don't know that it's going to hit it in these last 6.5 minutes. Ragemus in the slipstream of Tamo. Tamo, a 20.6 last time out, purple through Sector 1. It was a 21.5 for Edgar last time out. A difference of almost a second between these two last time out. Tamo gaining on Edgar. Group 3, though. Wendigo leads the way quite comfortably over Ben. Ben runs wide at turn 10. I don't think that'll gain him anything, the way he was struggling to keep it going forward there. Wendigo through turn 4, out towards turn 5 now. Ben up towards turn, the quote-unquote turn 2, and turn 3. The decision not too far back from him. Bunnies. It's starting to look like that strategic either masterclass or disaster class. More of a disaster class than a master class, although it hasn't turned out too poorly for Bunnies. He is still in 4th. That's not too bad, but it's not worked out quite how he will have hoped, I don't think. Bondimus, on the other hand, is into the pits. Aloe continues on his way, as does Sutkus, the two GTRs quite close together, and perhaps not loving this circuit, as Edgar is going quite slowly in comparison to Tamo. Tamo had 19.9 last lap, a 21.0 for Tamo, or for Edgar even. So Edgar, with less than 5 minutes remaining, is under a lot of pressure from behind. It's Lithuanian on Lithuanian battling here. But Tamo, it won't be enough to get him the championship, but it could be enough to get him the win if he can overtake Edgar here. He needs to catch him. As Murray Walker always said, catching is one thing, passing is very much another. Tamo right behind Edgar, though. He will be looking for his opportunity, licking his lips in anticipation. A 21.2 this last lap for Edgar. A 20.7 for Tamo. That's another half a second gained. And struggling through turn 1 is Edgar. Tamo behind. Tiny Terror in 3rd. Speckmere in 4th. 5th is Kaiser. Still with his windshield wipers going. 6th, Rob on drums. 7th, Ragemus Prime, who gets a prime view. Ragemus Prime gets himself a prime view of this battle up ahead for the win. Wendigo. I think he's going to be getting lonely at this rate. I mean, he's got nobody anywhere near him. Ben is coming up out of turn 8 now on lap 35. Wendigo's entering turn 3 on lap 36. Plymouth Decision sits in 3rd. He's not far off of Ben. This could be a battle at the end of the race, actually. Ben has got to stop running wide through turns 9 and 10, though. He's doing that a lot now, and he keeps losing time through turn 10 anyway, so it's not even helping him through turn 10. Bunnies behind in 4th, Aloe in 5th, Sutkus 6th, and Bondimus 7th. Bondimus has been having a rough race. It's not been a good round for stiff shifters, but both drivers persevering to the end of the race. 2.5 minutes left. Edgar leads from Tamo, but these two get ever closer. Ben stays on the racing line, stays predictable. It's not going to help Tamo, but it is exactly what he's supposed to do. He simply must not make any unpredictable movements. Staying on the racing line, that is the definition of predictable. Tamo sticks behind Edgar, who runs a little bit wide through turn 4. We've seen these two battle to the end of a race before in Watkins Glen. They were incredibly close together. And I just can't help but wonder, is there going to be some last lap shenanigans here? They're going to finish this lap with less than a minute and a half to go. They can set around a 120 kind of lap time. Rob on drums has stolen the fastest lap of the race. They can set about a 120 kind of lap time. They should just barely get one more lap after this. It's Tamo behind Edgar. They are nose to tail, and on what could be the final lap of this race, what could be the penultimate lap of this race, Edgar looks so set to get the championship. But can he put himself in with a chance of the win? Ooh, it's defensive from Edgar. Very, very aggressive to the inside. And it's Tamo who outdoes him. Ooh, Edgar goes round. Just about saves it. Almost didn't actually. He does, in fact, save it. Edgar, holy moly, just about does in fact keep himself going the right way. But Tamo, after that scuffle out of turn 3, is going to lead the way home. Tamo, will he be able to get another lap in? Ragemus goes wide through turn 6 and into the gravel. Out of turn 8, there's 2 corners left for Tamo. It's going to be so close. I'm not sure if Tamo's going to make it, but I don't think Edgar is. Edgar is going to round the final corner. And as he comes around the final corner, he can see the finish line. He can see championship glory. Edgar takes home second, and that is championship for him. It's game over. Gazman and Tamo eliminated from championship contention. Edgar, the one who remains. Number 77, the Lithuanian, on top of the top step of the championship. Edgar, champion in SNL Endurance. It's his first ever SNL championship, and well done to him, as these two were very close across the line. They were battling. Ben will take home second in this race. Climicision, a bit of a battle through turns 9 and 10 there. Climicision side by side with Ben, the two Supras, ultra close together there. Ragemus takes home 7th. It's the championship, though, for Edgar. Bondimus takes home 7th in class. Bunnies rounds the final corner. He'll take home 4th. It's Tiny Terror's 2nd podium in a row. 3rd place goes to the Brit. The Isota Frashini livery takes home a 2nd consecutive podium. Well done to him. Speckmere takes home 4th. Speckmere well and truly back to SNL. Kaiser takes home 5th. What a race from him. Rob is going to come home 6th. Wendigo takes victory in Group 3. What a drive from him. We missed him going over the line, but the Lithuanian commanding from start to finish. Oh, shoot. As I have then also proceeded to miss Tamo. Whoops. As Tamo comes around the final couple of corners as well. We have a champion decided, but it's someone else. It's Tamo who takes victory in today's race. Tamo takes home 1st place in Austria. It is his 2nd race win of the season, 3rd podium of the season. Can we please get a good view of his car? My goodness. Cool. This just isn't working. There we go. There's Tamo. Race winner today. Our other race winner today is Wendigo. Come on. Get us a good view of these cars, please, game. That'll do. Wendigo takes home victory, and with it the championship lead. But it's not the championship for him yet. It will be close between him and Climicision. I don't think Ben will be out of contention mathematically, but Ben will have a really tough time taking home the championship after that round. It seems like neither of the champions will defend their title, although Ben still does have a chance. Bunnies will not be champion this season. He will leave the championship behind him in Season 1. And in Group 1, it's Edgar who takes home championship spoils. Look at that, the golden glow around his car. The Toyota Gazoo, Toyota liveried, Toyota car, everything Toyota about this driver and about this car and about this team. Edgar, champion of SNL, Congratulations to the Lithuanian. Well done. Third place for a second consecutive time in Group 1 is Tiny Terror. Well done to him as well. That's his final round of the season. He won't be able to race with us in Interlagos, but a lovely result for him gives him a second consecutive podium. Speckmere comes home fourth, and as I said, truly now, welcome back to SNL, Speckmere. Back and in form. Kaiser takes home fifth. It's another great result in a great run of form for the Swede. As I said last time, finished off the Formula X season with a great couple results, picks it back up with his reserve appearance in Endurance. Well done to him. Rob on drums in 6th, and Ragemus in 7th. Wendigo, again, victorious. Second will go to Ben. Third, Climicision. These two battled it out to the end. The two Supras. Climicision still very much in with a chance at this championship, but won't have the lead of it anymore going into the final round. Bunnies, 4th place for the Hello Kitty car. Not quite the season he would have expected, being the reigning champion. We'll see if he can take a victory even. He hasn't won yet this season. Has he even had a podium? Yeah, he got a podium in the first round. But Bunnies has had a rough season thus far. Interlagos was the scene of one of his most dominant ever drives in SNL. Season 10 of Formula X. He flew away from the pack throughout the entirety of that race. Bunnies will return to Interlagos, hoping to get his first win of the season. 4th place today. Aloe takes home 5th. Sutkus takes home 6th. And Bondimus takes home 7th. Not quite the results any of them will have been looking for. Aloe will have been hoping to replicate the podium from last time out. Sutkus, 6th place. And Bondimus, a frustrating 7th. He won in the final round of Season 1 of Endurance, in the Group 3 category no less. Could he win in the Group 3 category in the final round in Season 2? Hard to say. Gaussman, a disconnect today. Thank you to everybody who watched. Congratulations to our new Endurance champion in Group 1. The list is short, but it is powerful. Bunnies in Season 1, Edgar in Season 2. Next time out, next week in Interlagos, we will get to see who can be the Group 3 champion as well. The Group 1s will of course still do battle. There are championship positions to be decided. The champion, however, is already selected. And in Group 3, it is all to play for. Thank you to everybody who watched, and we'll see you next time out for another championship showdown. Thank you.